Hi there. Today is Saturday, November 12th, 2022, making this the week 45 Create Brilliance weekly update with your hostess, Jennifer Vanderbeek of scrapsoflife.com. Hi, how are you? Wow, we are almost at mid November and I'm still kind of mind boggled at where the time has gone. Um, I hope everybody who's watching this that is on the Southeast coast, had an okay, made it through the whole Nicole storm okay. By the time it got to our area here in Southwest Georgia, it was basically, it was a heavy rain, but not even like a consistent one. We definitely had some like little wind gusts, but I haven't heard of anything, that went massively awry. And we needed the rain. So for us, it was a benefit. For those folks on the coast who had to deal with the full brunt of the storm, probably not so much. So if you're in that area, I hope you're doing well. Oh, okay. So first things, yeah, I am wearing a new project. Yep, this is the Country Girl Bandana Cowl by Crochet with Tiffany, I believe. I did it as a 2 skein project with a sport or not a sport weight, a DK weight yarn called Feederbrook. It self stripes and it's looking very brilliant on my screen. It's actually a little bit more subdued in person, but I guess, shadows and all. But yeah, very fun, simple project. I probably, I could have easily stopped at like the 1 skein mark and just had a slightly smaller one. I might do that again, if there's a skein of Feederbrook that I really love. Um, and then I, don't have to worry about matching it or anything. These are 2 um one-off skeins, and you can see they kind of they have a lot of variety in the colors, and I like that. But I needed something I discovered that had more of like a tan khaki base to it, while not just being plain tan or khaki. So what I had done is I laid all of my shawls and scarves and stuff out on the bed in like color order in rainbow order. And I'm like, okay, where do I have gaps? What do I have way too much of that I do not need to buy more yarn for a little bit? Or where do I have gaps? And the tan khaki arena was the major gap. I was told today that I looked like if fall was a person because, I've got like the oatmeal colored shirt on, I've got a brown skirt, got the shawl, I had like, tan flats. Yeah, I guess I was the picture of fall. But yeah, so I'm very happy I finished it last night. It's such a super super simple pattern. Very relaxing to work on, and it kind of gave me some ideas for a couple of my own projects, like my own twists on it, not as another cowl, but as other options. So just with the shaping and everything. Anyway, so there's that. I have a good start. I've probably got the majority of the next the embroidery pouch that I'm doing for friends so that she can give it to her sister. I know. Uncle, brothers, cousins, sisters, whatever. Um But anyway, I got a chunk of that done. I just have a few more steps to go. Unfortunately, those last few steps are the fiddly ones. So, there's still some work to be done on it, but I'll have it done no problem. And I really love having sewing machine kind of like uncluttered, uncovered, and working on the sewing projects. I'm like, oh, I've missed this. So that's good. I foresee getting back to work on Milo the polar bear soon. I still have to sculpt his face. I'm the first one I did when I did Gerald the giraffe. I sculpted the head and then, made it, made things to fit. Now I'm going the other way because I'm using the same basic pattern pieces as a jumping off point for for like the body, the seated body and stuff. And then I adjusted, for the various, um, unique shapes and stuff, but, it was still I started with that same proportion, and now I'm like, "Okay, I gotta figure out how to make the head right." So we'll see. We will see. But yeah, I need to, so I foresee getting back into doing some of that, and I also have a sudden itch to, like, knit not knit, sew some clothing for myself because I have a bunch of fabric, that the plan was always to make things for myself to wear. Um, but yeah, I haven't done it, and I've even bought some patterns from, some online shops where, you just download the pattern and then you can print out or even project the pattern directly onto the fabric so that, save a tree or several because those patterns, they take a lot of paper to print for ink. So, but yeah, but I've had even some printed that I never, like, assembled and then did anything with. They've just been sitting there. And, that's gonna change. That's gonna change this week, because I have a project in mind, nothing big, just a little thing, but, yeah, and as I look back through the patterns that I have purchased from them, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that would be the okay, okay." So, yeah, I definitely am feeling, like, the sewing urge. Um, so there's that. I did some work on artwork this week. I created some, well, I adapted some of the illustrations from Winter Whimsy, from the Winter Whimsy coloring book. I'm turning those into some sticker and pattern designs, for merch. Need to get those done this week. Really, I do because, we're yeah. Anyway, granted, for the most part, they are winter and not Christmas, but still and all, we know how this goes. Am I behind the 8 ball? Of course I am. We're not gonna talk about the book at the moment. No, we'll talk about the book. And actually talking about the book, um, leads into something else, but I have how do I want to approach this? Because the book, the thought on brilliance for this week and kind of a big change that has occurred, all go together. They're all intertwined. Yeah. Um, let's start with the news. The news is that this past Friday was Todd's last day as a full-time employee of the company he works for, or worked for. He's still on call for the next month, kind of, on a part-time basis, just, as there still is as his replacement who he's been training for the last few weeks, really digs down and she's on her own to do it. And so she might need help. So, they've worked out something for the next month or so, to have him on standby. Um, and it's a big change. And the big question, of course, is, well, what's he gonna do now? That would be the question. But no, 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 no. It's not a bad thing. And we're really lucky. We're very fortunate that it's nowhere near a crisis. There is time to decide what those next steps are. Time for Todd to decide what he wants to do next. And I think that's fabulous because, you know, working really, really hard. And I mean, he deserves a break. He absolutely deserves a break, and he deserves the opportunity to decide what direction he wants to go in next. And I love that for him. Now, knowing that there's no financial crisis for us at the moment. I mean, yes, we have to be mindful, but there's no financial crisis. Um, we have a luxury of a bit of time, before anything else needs to change, or decisions have to be made, or what have you. Um, it does, however, impact me in a bit because I'm used to having the house to myself during the day. And so I admit I've kind of struggled with the concept of, oh my gosh, what's it going to be like if he's home during the day? Even if it's not a permanent situation, if might decide to work from home, whatever he's doing next, or, you know, who knows? Um, and I admit that I was dreading it a little bit just because it's a disruption to what I've gotten used to. Nobody loves change in that respect, but also how I work is different when there's other people around versus when I'm on my own. Um, which is why a lot of time, depending on who's in the house, it's like I usually wait until things really quiet down in the evening again to get good and productive. Once he comes home from work, there's that window. And even though he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, aside from when we sit down for dinner or whatever, it's just the presence of another person in the house, the movements, the this, the that. It can be very distracting for me. I've always said that that's one of the reasons why I work best at night. I'm more creative at night. I'm more productive at night, is because everyone else in the house is usually asleep or quieted down. And everybody around the house, there's fewer distractions. There's people aren't in the back, in their backyards or something where I can hear them. There's not as much traffic on the street. All of these things, and then there's just that blanket of night that just feels like it blocks a lot of the distractions, the ambient distractions, going on. So, yeah, I've had to kind of adapt to what was going on, and it still remains to be seen, because Monday will be the first day when he doesn't get up and go to work unless they call him in immediately. Um yeah, so it's going to be a little different. Um but that leads into my thoughts on Brilliance for this week. And the topic of my thoughts is on focus. Focus can be difficult for me. At times, it can be hard not to focus on something, and to the exclusion of all else. That's called hyperfocus. And yes, I realize when I get into that. And sometimes when you're like able to hyperfocus on the right thing, the thing that you were wanting to accomplish and work on, it's fabulous when you can direct that laser gaze onto the project that you're on, and go, 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 go through it. It's fabulous. It's amazing. It's the best thing in the world. Unfortunately, hyperfocus doesn't always work like that. Hyperfocus is the ooh shiny rabbit trail that turns into a 6-hour deep dive into some esoteric thing that has nothing to do with anything right now. But that's where the brain is focused. And that can be that can lead to new project ideas, that can lead to all sorts of wonderful things. But when you're trying to accomplish something, it is sadly not the best scenario. um Now, I know now, having been diagnosed with ADHD and all that, and understanding what that means, the what the frontal lobe controls and contributes to, and how we interact with our environment. I understand now that that is not something that I have to beat myself up for, but it is something I have to contain if I am trying to create a business, if I am trying to support support myself, to support my part of our lifestyle, our living expenses, our, pay the bills, etc., pay my bills, um, with my art and writing. I mean, it's a considerable thing. There's nobody standing over me saying, "Okay, Jennifer, do this right now." Um, and if someone were standing over me, it would be not good. There's a thing that often shows up in people with ADHD, and in other situations too. It's not just this, but it's called oppositional defiance disorder. And it's that knee-jerk reaction that someone has to being told what to do. It's like, I want to do this thing, but somebody tells me to do it. And well, just for that, I'm good. We kind of shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes with it. And it's just a thing. And it's a set of behaviors. It's not because of frontal lobe, I don't think. I can't speak to that. All I know is that it came up in research, and it's come up in some things, and I recognize that in myself at times when you're doing something, you're working on something, but somebody's like asking you, "Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this?" Mhm. Mhm. It makes you just wanna, not do it, bow up, all the non-good things. Um, but of course, as a people pleaser, um I grew up, trying to make people happy. It's like, you bottle that up and it's just not healthy. Anyway, it's also not healthy to lash out at people about it. It's the healthiest thing is to recognize it and kind of rein it in. And that's where the focus comes in. Because again, if we're able to focus, we're able to get the things done, and maybe we don't have somebody, "Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it?" Or "You need to do this, don't forget that." Da, 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 da. Again, not that people do that to me in my day-to-day now, fortunately, but I've been in scenarios where that's happened, and I again, understanding what goes into that reaction when it seems out of the blue, it seems uncontrollable, it helps. It helps. That's what I'm saying. It helps to know. But this is where, but again, going back to focus, we want to be able to focus. We want to be able to do the tasks we've set for ourselves, the projects we've set for ourselves, but it doesn't always work. And we don't always have the focus. So, focus for me, part of it is helped by the meds I'm on, which I do take. I do not skip them, take them. But meds are only part of it. And the other part is coping mechanisms. And what I can tell you, brutal honesty right now, my coping mechanisms, they've slid. They're not as effective, which happens. Um they're and I haven't been employing them as well. Like, I have found myself scrolling through YouTube shorts for hmm, hours or more. Um from time to time when I was like, "Oh man, I was just going to check one thing real quick," and boom, we fell into that little sinkhole. I am this close to putting one of those apps on my phone, or actually one might come with the Pixel. It might be native in there where it will like block you from using certain apps during certain hours or for more than X amount a day. Just telling myself, well, I'm only going to check, you know, some website or a game or an app for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to put the phone down. Willpower. That is not something that I've ever, been good at, um, consistently. Consistently. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm very good at it, and then it becomes almost an obsession. Then we get back into that little touch of OCD that I have, and yes, I'm not just saying, "Oh my god, I'm so OCD." No, no, no. This was a product of talking with my therapist. Putting that out there, folks. Um, but again, coping mechanism. So there's like that fine line to walk between I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm like hate doing something. I'm like, super restrictive on myself. Super, yeah. So anyway, I need to find better coping mechanisms, or I need to go back to a coping mechanism that worked at one point but stopped working, because sometimes just that break, and then we return to the old method, it's new enough that the dopamine, starts going again and it works for us and we cycle through. So it's probably time for me to go back to Pomodoro method. Well, that's the 15 minutes on, 5 minutes off, or whatever intervals you decide on. Or just the idea of you can do anything for 15 minutes, set a timer, make yourself get started. But sometimes that's just hard to make yourself get started. But yeah, I need to get back to using some of those old methods that used to work and see if they'll work for me again. And if not, find other methods to do. Find something new and shiny that the brain is going to glom onto and use that and ride that wave as long as it's going to work. And that's what I need to do when it comes to finishing book 4. Again, it's the least shiny of my projects right now. It's not that I don't want it done, I desperately want it done. I want to be able to put that one to bed, and it will be such a weight lifted off of me once I finally get that one finished and uploaded and available, and I can say, "Look, okay, it's done." And I even started thinking up, scenes and stuff for the next book. So it's not like I don't wanna write. It's just finishing that book, and I know I need to do it. I need to do it for a number of reasons. And it is so hard for me to focus on it right now. I think I have put a lot of pressure on myself, and I had realized that in the past, in the last few weeks. I realized how much pressure I was putting on myself because of book 4 and what it represents in great and small ways. I just need to do it, and I can say that until I'm blue in the face, until the cows come home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But actually making myself do it, which is why the Pomodoro method comes in. It's why this little cube timer will come in handy. I use this for writing sprints at times, and it's very effective because you're like, okay, I'm just doing this until the timer goes off. I need to start using that more with a variety of things. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe this week I go back to using my cube timer. There's there's half a dozen to a million things that I could try, but I also can't spend too much time focusing on how to get myself to focus, because then that's a little circle that's gonna keep chasing its tail, and I will still not get anything done, because when I go into research mode, oh, you better believe that I'm going down some rabbit holes and not coming up for air for a while. So yeah, focus. Brilliance is focus. So to say that I haven't felt all that brilliant lately in some aspects of my life and career work would not be putting too fine a point on it. But it is my watchword. It is going to be that little word of the week. Then going forward is maybe I should like put, a little sign on the lid of my laptop, the standing up for when it's open, and like just have the word focus everywhere. Like grab a pack of sticky notes and just focus. And maybe that will help redirect. I haven't tried that before. I could put them over here. I could just in big focus. No, that is not my word for 2023. I already decided last week that my word for 2023 is going to be community. Is it community or connection? Oh shoot, I need to check my notes. No, I think it was community. Anyway, I have it written down so that I wouldn't forget. Um, I have it written down in a note app that I use on my phone to keep track of all the flotsam and jetsam inside my head that I'm afraid of forgetting, but that I can't keep like manually focusing on because it distracts everything else. So yes. Did that help at all? Did you get anything from that? Or have you just enjoyed watching my brain spin? Either is fine, by the way. I would love to know that my experience is helping someone. Even if it's a cautionary tale, this is what not to do. I'll take it. I'll take it. Um, but whether or not this is entertainment for you, or it helps you look at your own life, career, goals, etc. in different ways, however it is, I'm just glad you're here. Glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the world. I'm glad we're on this journey together in some way, shape, or form. And I really appreciate you. I wish you the best for this coming week. Here in the United States, it is, we've got one more week, a week and a half until Thanksgiving. Um, so, keep, if you're prepping for getting together with family in a couple of weeks, lots of deep breaths, especially, it's like a lot of us look forward to family gatherings, and then a lot of folks, Also myself included, I go back and forth. Sometimes it's like, "Oh, yay, it'll be fun to get together with everybody." But sometimes the holidays can be a lot of pressure, and, you know, I'm perfectly fine that this year that Todd and I get to spend Thanksgiving here at home, just us 2. Um, that's the plan at least, and it's okay. We enjoy that, we like it that way, but we also enjoyed last year getting together with everybody at my aunt's in Kentucky. We had a lot of fun either way. Even the road trip up and back was great, and, so it's all good. But yeah, so it could go either way. So if you're tense and dreading the holidays, deep breaths, you'll get through this. If you're looking forward to it, yay. Yay. I hope it's as wonderful as you're looking forward to. For those of you who are not here in the United States and not celebrating Thanksgiving, or even if you are here in the United States and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, that's valid too. I hope you have a good week ahead. I hope that the holiday season, because whether you celebrate or not, it's hard to avoid. If you leave your home at all and consume media at all, you're gonna see parts of it. I hope that it goes well for you. I hope that you're not feeling inundated or pressured or anything like that. Because that, to me, that's the antithesis of the holidays, even though it happens so often. Um, Take care of yourselves. As always, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can put it on anyone else. Take care of yourself. Make time for yourself. Do something good for yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes reading a book, or browsing for a new project to make, or whatever floats your boat. Do some puzzles. Do something that's for you, that you enjoy. Gonna fill that tank, fill that emotional well, fill that, you know, continue that creative spark, whatever does it for you. And then if you have the inclination, the time, and the bandwidth, care for those around you, something for them. Thank you so much. As always, I'm so glad you're here. And of course, never ever be afraid to show the world your brilliance. Until next time, bye.